Hi, everybody. Welcome to SOS Salon Business Success Podcast, where we're building brands that survive while developing people that thrive. So I'm glad to have you here with me today. Welcome to our session. I'm excited to be doing a podcast again and moving through some information to be able to help salons, because it seems as though the employee-based or commission-based salon is a rarity today. And my commitment is to be able to help those salons continue to not only survive, but to thrive. Because I really do believe there is an opportunity for the traditional salon, the employee-based salon, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the excitement of a busy salon to come back into the fold here. I know a lot of people are in this independent mindset, but I do believe that there are some transitions that need to happen in order to get to that perfect balance of building a business in this industry and being able to work in a great team environment. So again, we're all about building brands that survive while developing people that thrive. Now, I always say that in my philosophy that brand is selling with a soul. Okay. So that means that brand is connected to you as a person, to your team, not just the entity of your business and not just the products or services that you offer. So when we talk about building brands that survive while developing people that thrive, it's really a two-part system. So it's understanding how you're serving your community, what your business has to offer, how your business is solving problems for people, how your products and services are those solutions to the problems that people are having. And all of that is really looking at us as people, because what we know to be true is that people do business with people, not just businesses. They want to know who they're doing business with. And that is more true today than it ever has been here. So the SOS Salon Business Coaching Podcast is really going to play on the philosophy and the coaching program that I've developed, which is called SOS Salon Coaching. And the SOS part, of course, is save our salons. I mean, that's kind of the blanket statement in there. But the framework that's also created around it is that in order to save our salons, we have to be far more strategic. We have to look for opportunities that will expand our business and grow our business in order to have the success. So strategic opportunity will equal success. All right. Now, part of that strategy that we're looking at is also kind of focusing in on 5 key areas, 5 success pillars of any business, not just the salon business. And that, of course, is sales, operations, mindset, marketing, and education. And each and every week, I'm going to touch on these topics. And each and every week, we may have different guests or different philosophies around this topic. Now, because I've done this whole thing, kind of this boat sailing theme with my SOS coaching program, I'm tying it into the podcast as well. And one of the reasons why I'm doing that is because I really do I believe that people learn based on analogies, and seeing points of difference and having an understanding of how one thing works, that they can see how it then works in the industry and the programming that they're currently in. So as we focus on these strategies, sales, operation, mindset, marketing, and education, it will all be based on providing solutions and opportunities to help you grow your business and grow your brand in there. The other philosophy that we're going to tie into in these sessions and these podcasts is to be able to look at the 3C formula, which I've had a tremendous amount of success with from a coaching perspective. I use this particular formula in marketing. I use it in being able to reduce conflict. I use it to be able to recognize and make connections with people. And here's the 3C formula: connection, creating that oneness with another person. So you have to do that if you're planning on marketing or branding yourself. Compassion, having that understanding towards that person. In other words, being in their shoes. So it's kind of an emphatic approach here, adding empathy to your conversations, okay, to create that connection so that you can get to a point where they're saying yes to you, right? We want our clients to say yes to us. And of course, being curious will always lead into further action. So creating that connection, compassion, and curiosity, that's the 3C formula. You'll hear opportunities where we express that and share that throughout the podcast as well. Now, if our theme is surviving from going from surviving to thriving. And I'm using this kind of boat sailing analogies in there. You're not only going to learn about salon business strategies, but you're also going to maybe learn a little bit about sailing, as I am. So, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. Not a lot of sailing going on there. Not too many beaches happening in the desert. But I was always fascinated with being on the water, and I always loved being on a boat. And so we had boats growing up in Arizona because we have quite a few lakes, but not necessarily boats on the ocean or sailing from that perspective. So when I did learn how to sail, and I'm still learning how to sail, I should say, I found the philosophy really interesting. It's like learning a brand new language. Okay, just like anything, when you learn something, you have to understand the language. And so I intend to share some of the experiences that I've had in learning new things and how it applies to business. You're also going to have invited guests onto our podcast. So we'll have selected areas where we're going to focus within that sales operation, mindset, marketing, and education. We'll invite guests in to be able to talk on those topics. We'll look at, on the podcast, we'll look at popular posts that are happening right now on these salon forums and break them down into one of the strategies of sales operation, mindset, marketing, and education, and also break them down with the 3C formula if it makes sense to be able to do that. In other words, if somebody's struggling, somebody's having client difficulties, owners, managers having difficulties with being able to expand their business or communicate more effectively with their stylist, the 3C formula is a great formula to be able to apply there. And of course, we'll also have some guests coming on where we can literally coach some clients to be able to help you guys in some of the understanding of what's going on. And last but not least, you'll get me on some of these podcasts to be able to just share more information and content with you. So that's part of what's happening here in the podcast every week. Now, today we're going to be talking about sales. And the sales part of the podcast, of course, is really looking at our level of understanding that we have to absolutely, positively be selling in order to grow. We have to be selling. So in this sales mentality that we have where we think, oh, I'm an artist, I don't like to sell. The truth is you are selling. You're selling what you're confident in, and you're avoiding maybe what you're not confident in. So let's get started in our today's topic of sales, resisting resistance. All right, resisting resistance. I read this book a while back, and it wasn't the easiest book to get through. And I can't even say that it was ultimately my favorite book, but there were a couple parts in there that really resonated with me so deeply that it made sense to me. And the book is The Art, or the War of Art. Okay, so not The Art of War. It's not that one. That one would be an impossible book for me to get through. But the War of Art. And really what it was is this writer, Stephen Pressfield, who was struggling to be able to write books. Now he's an author. He'd had already authored many books. He'd had a tremendous amount of success, but he found himself being in that writer's block and getting really stuck. And what was coming up was an enormous amount of resistance. And he kept thinking, what is the resistance? What's causing this resistance? And even saying the word over and over again, resistance starts to well up in me here. So we have to look at why we're resisting resistance to begin with. And it does have a lot to do with this opportunity for us to be selling. Now, I see a lot of posts out there on the Facebook and Instagram and everything where it's like, I'm a new stylist and I'm trying to build a clientele and I don't know what to do. Okay. Well, sell. You have to sell. There's only two ways to increase your sales. One is to sell more to the people you already have, and one is to find new clients. So you have to define what that is. Do they have enough clients to be able to upsell in order to increase their sales so that they can make more money? Or on the other side, are they looking for new clients? Now, if it's the new client, then there's a whole strategy to being able to look at new clients. But we're going to focus in on the resistance part of why we're not selling. We ignore that we are and should always be salespeople first. Okay. I want you to put yourself in that mindset that you are selling. If you have a client that books an appointment with you and they come to sit in your chair, you are selling them on the types of services, the type of maintenance, the type of products that you're going to have to use, the type of design or style that you're going to use in order to accommodate what they're asking for. So at that point, you're selling. But because you've been trained to do this technical side of it, sometimes you don't think that you're necessarily selling. But the truth is you are. So you can own that right now and feel good about it, that you already are a salesperson. And the truth is selling can be fun, you guys, because all selling really is solving people's problems. So if a client comes in and says, my hair's too bulky, and every time I get it cut, it seems like it's still too bulky down here. This is always my complaint. And you're going to then think through a solution to that problem. And that solution might be, well, you know what, we'll do a traditional haircut on you, but what I will then do is I'll go in and I'll thin out those areas, either with a razor or thinning shears or something like that. In other words, you're selling her on a different technique or strategy in order to get her to how she likes her hair, not so bulky on the bottom. Okay. So there's that right there is selling. Or you might be able to say, you know, I'm going to recommend a smoothing product or a smoothing service in order to manage your hair better. Have you ever done that? You're selling another service type of thing. Now, I know that we all have this weird, disconnect to selling retail, but the truth is you should be selling retail to every single client. Maybe not every single client is buying the retail, but you should be selling retail to every single client. Okay. If you are asking for the sale, it's up to them. Then it becomes an absolute choice. The client gets to choose whether they buy the product or not buy the product, but you have nothing to lose. But the truth is it's a 50-50 chance that they're going to buy the product, a 50-50 chance that they're not going to buy the product, but they will not buy the product if you don't ask. Okay. Just like any of the service upgrades that you might be considering, just like solving any of the problems that you're trying to achieve, you have to be able to look at, how am I helping them to solve a problem? And then also making sure that they understand that you've solved the problem. Okay, that's the other part of selling. That's the post-sale, is that letting them know you've solved the problem. So let's say after you've done the haircut, you've styled the client out, you've showed them that you were able to kind of reduce and eliminate some of that bulkiness that they complained about, and you're selling them on the fact that you have solved the problem. So that makes them want to come back to you, pre-book an appointment, buy retail from you, refer you to a friend. All of that is then creating that chain reaction of ultimate sales in there. But let's look at how we want to be able to prep the sale. So I'm going to speak kind of in terms of anybody that maybe is either an owner, new to the business, maybe a suite person or an independent person. And we're going to look at how we're going to prep the sale. Now, from a selling perspective, let's look at that. So when I went through a certification for sailing, I had never sailed in my life, nor did I understand a lot of language, but I was surprised at how much language I was familiar with just because it's used as analogies and memes and other adages and stuff like that. So I was aware of a lot of language in the boating and sailing world, but I didn't necessarily know how to apply it to that particular industry or that particular genre in there. So the first thing you would want to do is know the language. So if you are considering yourself a salesperson at this point, own the language of selling. Understand that selling has a system, and that being able to systematically sell on a regular and ongoing basis, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, and the easier it becomes, and the more fun it becomes as well. So know the language. That's the first point to learning how to sail a boat. Then you have to understand the points of sale. Okay, so that would be the direction of the wind, the speed of the wind, everything around you, because obviously in a boat, there's no real stopping. It's not like you put the car in park and it's not going anywhere. Okay. So you could even, you could anchor or moor a boat, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going anywhere because it's on water and there's still wind as a factor. It's still moving a little bit, So you always have to take into consideration. But if you were actually going to put up the sails, which of course, if you own a sailboat, you want to always at any given point have the opportunity to put up the sales, you have to kind of know a little language and a little understanding. So some education before that. Now, you might be really confident in being able to do maybe a bob haircut, but maybe you're not confident in a shag haircut. Well, that would be a point of sale. You would need to probably get more comfortable in being able to do that particular service in order to sell it, just like using the products, just like expanding your menu in there. 3, of course, then is take a course of how to be better at learning how to sell. Okay. And then of course, the 4th thing from a sailing perspective, sailing a boat, would be how to tie a knot. Okay. That would be the technical aspects of understanding safety and skill. And there is how to be able to tie a knot, because once you get the sails up there, you want to be able to make sure that you're securing the sails to be able to go and take you on that journey in there. So let's look at that from our industry as well. We're prepping to sell to our clients. All right. So the first thing is to be able to look at a menu of all sellable items, including your retail brands. All right. Like, I just want you to get a piece of paper out. Okay. Now, maybe you have an actual salon menu here. So, maybe get the menu out type of thing. And I want you to do a quick review of the menu that you have. Is there areas on the menu where everything is priced out? Okay. Or is there items that say, $50 and up or $75 and up, yet there's no descriptor as to what the up is? That's kind of like sailing and not knowing the direction of the wind or the wind speed at that point. Okay. So clients aren't going to buy something unless it has more clarity to it. So if you're creating confusion to your clients are automatically going to say no. One of the things we know is that the easiest way to sell something is to create clarity around, first of all, why they need it. Okay. Is it solving a problem? But that they understand what they're getting for the price that they're paying. Right? There's no gray area in this. Now, I understand that in our industry, someone can call up on the phone and say, I want to be blonde, and right now I have box color and it's a dark brown. I understand that maybe quoting a price in that opportunity is not ideal, but you can always refer them to your website where you have pricing and just say, but because this could be a corrective procedure, please know that there's additional fees and there's additional cost or fees involved. The most important thing you could do is to set up a free consultation with me, or to set up a consultation with me if you charge for your consultations, and we'll discuss and confirm a price before we begin. All right. And don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to do that. You have to have an understanding of the breakdown of what it's going to take. And it's either by time and then it's by product use. Okay. So how much time do I think this is going to take? How much product am I going to be using? Those 2 factors are going to determine a price on there. But here's what I want you to do ultimately. I want you to get your menu, and I want you to list all of the sellable items, everything that's for sale. So you would say, I sell haircuts. I sell haircuts for men, women, and children. I sell perms. I sell highlights. I sell balayage. I sell smoothing treatments. I sell repair treatments. Okay. I sell toners. I sell glosses. Okay, whatever all those items are, every single, list it out and make sure that each and every one of those items has a price connected to it. So you're selling the service based on the problem it solves, and then knowing the client is aware and knowing the price that they're adding on to it. All right. Now, I want you to include your retail in this list as well, but you don't have to list every single retail product. You might just list it by brand. So if, let's say that you have Aveda or Bay, okay, or Goldwell. Now, I know that Goldwell is one of those lines, or Matrix, or even Redken is one of those lines where there's a brand within a brand. List out the sub brands as well, because they might solve a different set of problems. Okay. One particular line might be for thickening hair, where another one is for curly hair. So if it's a sub brand of a brand, break it down so that you can see and you're aware of everything you have to offer and everything you're selling. Now, in any business, whether it's selling a physical product or a service, every salesperson knows exactly all of the items that they have to sell, and so should you. So should you, okay? So the second thing I want you to do is I want you to make sure that there's clarity on your pricing of all your menu items, okay? Clarity on your pricing. It can't be elusive, all right? Now, and I know this happens in salons a lot. And as a matter of fact, it's some of the struggle that we deal with on a regular and ongoing basis too, is that we have all this product on the shelves and there's not a price on the product on the shelves. You know, they have to ask somebody what the price is. And that drives me crazy. I hate when that happens. But there also isn't really good POS systems of how all of that works in regards to pricing products. So it's great to have signage. Sometimes you just need to do signage to be able to help express the cost of it. And in some cases, you might know that you just have buyers that they don't need to necessarily know the price of things. If you're recommending them and they can ask the receptionist at that point or ask you, oh, well, how much would this be? And then you tell them how much it would be, and then they can make a choice of all the selections that you've offered them. But you have to have clarity on your pricing, and you definitely have to have clarity on your pricing with your services, okay? So if your haircut price is $50, doesn't include a blow dry. Okay. So it's a haircut and style. And that is $50. Okay. If they wanted to do a conditioning treatment or a toner or a partial highlight or a full highlight, those also have prices as well. And that you're clear on the pricing to what you're selling. Because here's one of the things that I believe happens in our industry all the time. We're confident in our skill set. We're not confident in selling the price structure that we have set up in our business. And if you're a stylist working for a salon and it's a high-end salon, you might not be comfortable selling somebody a $200 service and then another, $50, $60, $70 of retail, because maybe to your bank account that looks like a lot, but you can never judge the client's bank account. You don't know the client's bank account. You can, however, always make sure that you're offering the opportunities and allowing the client to decline the opportunity to buy it. Always ask, allow the client to make a choice and say, not today, or sure, that sounds good. Or let me just get one of these instead of both of them today, okay? Give them the opportunity to make those choices. Clarity on pricing is pretty important if you want to be a good salesperson and you want to be able to really market yourself to building new clients on your books. It cannot be elusive, all right? Because what you don't want, here's what you don't want. You don't want people calling you and asking the price of things, because what does that tell you from the get-go? That they are probably a budget, price conscious type of client. All right. Which in some cases is fine to have those, or even build a book, tons of those clients on your books. But you want to be able to refer them to a pricing menu on your website. Okay. So this is why I always say digital presence is critical, because it's going to answer a lot of questions and allow clients to say yes to you. All right. So clarity on your pricing. You never want to have $100 and up. You need to explain what the up is. Okay. Can you imagine going and shopping at Neiman Marcus and, you pick up this jacket and it says $100 and up. Well, is it $100 or is it more? What's the up? How do I get this information? Who's going to answer this question for me? Nobody's going to buy anything if you don't have clarity in pricing. So you could have a little caveat or a little asterisk, and it could say pricing may vary based on condition, texture, density, length of hair. Okay, so you've created that caveat, right? Just like the jacket might be $100 in Neiman Marcus, but if you bought it in one city over another city, the tax is going to be different. All right, the tax is going to be different. So it's that same philosophy. Create clarity on your pricing. All right. Now, the third thing is that I want you to have a sales system or a process. All right. So make sure that you have a really good consultation set up. Make sure that you're creating clarity in your communications as to what you're going to be doing on the client and approximately or exactly what this is going to cost them, okay? Now, maybe going into it, you may not know that you're going to need additional color and say, it's possible I'm going to be needing additional color. Additional color would be $10 extra for the bowl of color. I'm going to try and get through it with the amount that I'm going to mix up right now. I may need more because your hair might be more porous and I might need to build in more color. Okay. So you're just letting them know. You're educating them on the fact that they have more hair than maybe an average person. But I want you to think about a sales system or a process. I'm going to consult with the client. I'm going to communicate clearly what I'm going to do to the client. I'm going to make sure that they understand the pricing of the client. I'm going to incorporate home maintenance products as part of the final sale of the product. And I'm going to ask for that sale. I'm also going to ask for them to pre-book based on the fact that in order to maintain the, this color and to have it be in the best condition, they're going to need to come back in 4 weeks in order to duplicate this look and keep it looking at its best. If they wait 5 or 6 weeks, part of the problem that will happen is they'll have additional regrowth, they'll have more fadage, we'll have to use more color, and then I can't guarantee a consistent price each and every time you come in. You see, I'm just educating my client. I want you to think of sales as nothing more than educating your client and solving their problems. If they don't want their hair to look faded or brassy, then you have to sell them on pre-booking. If you don't want their hair to, to fade really quick, then you're selling them on home maintenance. If you don't want to be charging, if what they're saying is that they can't afford the particular price that you had offered them, then suggest and sell them on what you can do to meet their budget. Okay, there's lots of variables in this. There isn't one way to do this. Okay, so it could be, well, you know what? Why don't we look at a partial highlight? And what I'll do is I'll frame the face and create more emphasis of the color around your face so that you definitely have it. Nobody sees the back of their head anyway, right? So that way, then you're being able to provide a service in the timely manner that meets your pricing structure and meets their budget. Okay. Now, the fourth thing is sales and marketing. Like anything, selling is a strategy, okay? Like anything, marketing requires you to have a plan or a campaign. I want you to think of marketing in a campaign format. If I wanted to have new clients come into my salon, I am going to campaign myself to have them come in and visit me. So if I was going to campaign them, I would have to have something that would prove I'm worthy of this. Now, price and promotion could be one of the ways that you might lure people in. But I always suggest working on authority and expertise. So you want to sell yourself first before selling discounts. All right, try selling yourself first before selling discounts. Otherwise, it's really hard to keep raising the bar of what your pricing structure actually is. So in this marketing plan, you're going to say, I'm going to do an entire campaign on just selling me. I'm going to talk about my experience, my expertise. I'm going to talk about my passion of why I'm in it. Now, some of you may not have a lot of experience. You might be new to starting out in the industry, and this is why you're struggling building a clientele, because you don't have the experience, the authority, or the expertise. All right. So this is where you take that personal campaign and you make it about how you've always loved doing hair. You've done hair your whole life. You just happen to do it on Barbie dolls and other dolls and maybe friends prior to getting yourself licensed and certified in the beauty industry. You're excited about building a clientele to be able to help everybody feel beautiful. And you're also making sure that in this day and age with COVID that you're selling safety too, and that you understand all of the safety protocols, and you're going to continue to raise the bar on all safety protocols for your clients. There's two things that are happening right there. They're beginning to get to know you and to trust you, which has them want to say yes. They see that safety is a factor and that it's important to you, which has them want to say yes. Okay. So you want to be able to get them in based on passion, based on authority, based on expertise and experience, based on your story. All right. That would be my first campaign. If all goes well and you get a few new clients coming in for that, that's when you can create the campaign that's called a bounce back campaign. This is when you would say, if you pre-book today, I can offer you a discount on your next service. Or if you pre-book today, I have a free gift for you by pre-booking, okay? Or get them on your books, whatever it is that you can do. Now you're selling them on coming back a second time, because what we know to be true is 2 or 3 times. We have to have the client come in probably 3 times before they become a more loyal client. So your promotion and pricing, value, and opportunity is always in the second and third appointment, not necessarily in the first appointment. Sell you, okay? Sell you first. then sell the client on coming back as an incentive for them. People are looking for quality. They're looking for somebody that they can feel comfortable with. Listen, as a client, finding a new hairstylist and having somebody cut and color you for the first time is scary. Okay. It really is. It's like a risk. It's like, what if I hate it? What if they screw it up? What if I don't like it? Then they're thinking they're going to try and fix it, but it's only going to make it worse. And then I got to find another stylist. So you want to be able to have them feel comfortable with who you are first. Okay. And what's important to you. That is a sellable yes right there. All right, so there's your first campaign. Second campaign for that same client would be then offering them an opportunity to come back, some type of bounce back promotion to have them pre-book, and or once they come back, you'd send something to them to get them back in your chair if you didn't have an opportunity to pre-book them. Now, every 5 weeks, we're going to be talking about sales, and every 5 weeks, we're going to go into a sales and marketing plan. Every 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about marketing. So these same conversations are going to come up. Every second week, we're going to talk about operations. And operations is sometimes putting the plan together to be able to do the selling and the marketing. So each and every week, you guys, these are the ideas that I'm going to bring forth for you. So I hope that you'll have the opportunity to enjoy it. Now, the final thing is promotion and sell-through, which we talked about a little bit in this one. The promotion and sell-through is what value other than you are you offering the client? Okay. And the value doesn't always have to be a price off. It doesn't have to be a coupon. It doesn't have to be a discount. It doesn't have to be anything related to the actual price of something. Value can sometimes be that you are taking a little extra initiative. You know, your value could be that you do a fantastic shampoo. You do a scalp massage with every client. Your value could be that you really devote time to a consultation with each and every one of your clients every single time, not just new clients coming in. All right. What additional value are you offering for them? Because you want to be able to continue to make sure that you are providing them an opportunity to say yes, not just once, but 2-3 times, and then on into the future in there. If promotion is where you're going to be able to have some level of success in starting out or building new clients, then make sure that the promotion is very strategic to a particular offer and a particular timeline for a particular person. So if it's you, or maybe within the salon, it's certain people within your salon that you're helping to build. Be very clear on your promotional guidelines. That is an opportunity for you to do that. Okay. All right. So remember, this is how you're selling it. You're selling what are you offering? What is it that you're really selling? What's your it? All right. How much is it? All of your its have to have a price on there. Why do they need it? All right. So why do people need haircuts? Why do people need balayage over highlights? Why do people need toners along with highlights? All of those things, you have to be able to know, why do they need it? And then you have to define who needs it, okay? Who's that ideal client that you're looking for, that if you got 10 of those type of ideal clients coming in, you could actually continue to build your books because they'd be consistent, they'd start referring you, they would be pre-booking. Okay, those are your ideal clients. And then of course, where can they get it? Be very clear that, you know, they're coming into this location, and then when can they have it? So is this a particular limited offer? Is it an ongoing offer? Is it, you know, just right now? When you can answer all of those questions, then you put together all of the preparation to be a really great salesperson. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the resistance that affects us here. We're resistant to be salespeople. Don't be resistant anymore to that. And ask yourself questions. Why am I resistant to this? And it could be that you just have fear, or you're just uncomfortable selling. It could be that you're uncomfortable talking about pricing, okay? Resist that it goes against what we want. So when you resist selling, you're not getting what you want. You're not getting the clientele. Okay, you're not getting the money in your bank account. You're not getting the life that you want, or maybe the house that you're trying to buy, or the car that you want. You're not getting freedom to be able to say that I'm a successful person in this career. Resistance can also be attached to our ego. All right. The resistance is not necessarily us. It's our ego saying, you're not good enough to do this. You're not smart enough. You haven't done it long enough. And sometimes it has more power over us than we think. So if you can kind of take that resistance and, have it be like a little, demon on your shoulder and just say, you know what, I hear you, but I'm not going to listen to you. I'm still going to do this anyway. And when we can start to kind of like really build confidence over our ego telling us that we're not good enough. A lot of people think that when you have an ego, you're like all that in a bag of chips. No, your ego is that part of you that creates doubt. It's a safety mechanism. Ego is a safety mechanism. Are you smart enough? Are you good enough? Are you pretty enough? Are you skinny enough? All those things are ego-based. And it's a safety mechanism because at one point we were hurt and our ego showed up and tried to protect us. And then anytime something looks similar to that, our ego goes, oh no, I'm in charge here. Okay, I'll take care of this. I'll handle this one. And we have to be able to say, no, ego, I need you to not handle this one right now. I've got it. It's not the same as what happened before. This is different. I got it. All right. And sometimes we resist that we are being amateurs in certain things. Okay. One of the other pieces that I liked about that book, the War on Art, is that an amateur is not fully committed to the level of success that they want. And listen, you guys, this is something I struggle with as well. I'm creating new content, new programs. I'm doing all I can to be able to help my fellow people in the salon industry. But there are some things that I'm learning them, I'm an amateur at. And technology is one of them. We are, to some degree, we're all amateurs in technology because there's so much growth happening all the time in regards to this. When you can cross over from an amateur to a professional, you're in the game. You are in the game no matter what. And you're able to passionately move forward through your fears and your ego issues. And you're able to manage your emotions in an intelligent way that has you go from amateur to professional, all right? Because sometimes what we think about is resistance is an immature response to our ego. It's an immature response. It's our ego saying, you're not good enough, but that's a childlike response, right? Okay. Resistance is also that it's personal. And, sometimes we think, well, I can't build up a clientele because I live in a small town, or I can't build up a clientele because, we're not using the products that I used in the last salon. I can't build up a clientele because we're in a pandemic. I can't build up a clientele because it's election year. You could have 1,001 excuses, but all that is resistance. And you might need to then go back and ask yourself some questions. Are any of those valid? And if the truth is if any of those were not on the table, would I still struggle with building a clientele? And would I still struggle with finding excuses and trying to be in the blame game of why I'm not successful? And of course, ultimately, resistance is that we lack confidence and the ability to overcome the fear for asking what we want. So this is now's the time to step up, you guys. We've had an interesting and amazing year called 2020. And I'm telling you, now is the time to step up and really be bold in what you say that you want, because the opportunity is around the corner for you. I truly believe that sales is a direct link to success. And you know that expression that they say, all roads lead to Rome? Well, just as actions lead to sales, all sales leads to success, okay? Every action that you do should have a sales component to it that leads to success. And if success to you is more money, having a bigger clientele, being more profitable, whatever that defined message is that you have connected to success, sales is the path that's going to get you there, okay? It's going to be the path that's going to get you there. All right, so here's your call to action. You're going to do the homework that I just suggested. So number one, you're going to either look at your menu or you're going to get a piece of paper and a pencil out and you're going to write down everything that you sell. You're going to make sure that everything that you sell has clarity of pricing on it so that you're comfortable with the pricing and you are comfortable with selling it to another person at that price. You're going to then put together some type of a sales system or process. In other words, one of the classes that I do is called Seeding the Sale. So it starts out with literally walking up to the client once they've walked in. So I know my clients arrived and I walk in and I'm like, hi, how are you today? Hey, did you see the promotions that we have right now with the leaders on sale? I'll talk to you about that before we finish up today. So I've already seeded a sale that we have leaders on sale, and that I'm going to make sure that she is aware and potentially buy them before she walks out the door. It was so simple. I take her back to the chair. I'm creating an opportunity in the consultation. I'm selling her on the services. I'm selling her on upgrades. I'm selling her on home maintenance. I'm going to the shampoo bowl. I'm selling her again on some home maintenance, on what we're going to be doing and how great it's going to look. Okay. Sales system, get it down. Okay. In one of these podcasts, I'll do seeding the sale. And then the next thing I want you to do is I want you to put together a sales and marketing plan. What are you going to do? What are you going to focus on? Focus on one thing. Don't focus on 7. Don't put yourself out there and say, I'm an expert in all these areas. Put yourself out there being an expert in one area. Okay. And then I want you to package it up as a promotion and sell it through to clients and see the type of results that you're going to get. Now, obviously, you guys, this process of selling is easier said than done. There's a lot of work to it. And if you need more support, then I want to be able to offer more support. So you can sign up today to be one of my coaching clients, and that is at SOSSaloncoaching.com. I'm working on a 12-week course that's going to be able to invite, it'll be a group course that you guys will go through the process, and we'll talk about all of this in there. And I promise you'll have some increased sales and some increased profits at the end of the 12 weeks. So if you're interested in that too, you can go on the waiting list. So sign up today if you're interested in being a client. That's at SOSSaloncoaching.com. If you're interested in the 12-week course, I need you to get on a waiting list right now, because we're getting ready to launch that, but it only has so many openings, and I want to make sure that you get to be a part of that opening. And how you're going to be able to find that is you're going to see a link in the comments. Okay. You'll see a link in the post, and you'll see a link in the comments to being able to get on the wait list for the 12-week course, Thriving Over Surviving. All right, you guys, thanks for joining me today. Stay tuned, because next week, we're going to be going into the operations category, a very, very big category, and I'm excited to have a special guest. So I hope you join me then here on Anchor Podcasts. And you can find it also, the links to everything at Bonnie Bonadeo Coach on my Facebook page, or go to bonniebonadeo.com. Bye for now.